What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Struggle. Nadeska, Akademiks, and Wayno here.
Good morning.
Ak was just telling a very interesting stories when the camera started rolling. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, what was the story I was telling?
Yeah.
Good morning, Ak. How
you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
It's been very New York-esque
I know.
lately.
We gonna bring Kyrie to the Knicks, man.
Okay.
The Knicks been trashed for so goddamn long. I'm bringing some positive vibes. Let's bring Kyrie and KD. Actually, no. I want both of them to go with LeBron, man. Give LeBron one more ring.
What about your Portland Trailblazers? They lost last night. It's not looking too good for them. It's not looking too good for them.
Listen, Wayno. We gonna get it right. We gonna get it right.
All right.
Damian Lillard, he gotta go to at least Western Conference Finals. But yeah, the NBA playoffs, I would not watch without LeBron, but I've been betting money on them. So
Okay. I hope you're winning some money.
That's a good reason.
I've been losing.
Oh. You know what, today, guys? I think we should. What?
Steph Curry losing my bread. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
How you doing though?
Great.
You glowing?
Thanks, Akademiks.
Got the money glow.
Money glow, yes.
Money go.
You must have came back up after you paid taxes.
Tax season, man. All
Let's
right.
not even talk about those.
I know, this shit is painful. We're going to start with the fan question today, if that's cool with you guys.
That's cool.
Why not?
Because it actually ties into our first topic perfectly. All right. So this question is, hey, Ak, Wayno, and Nadeska, I have a two-part question. Why don't rappers use samples like before, and what are some of your favorite songs that include some classic samples? So let's work with part one, and then we'll get back to part two. Because Logic actually got on Twitter yesterday. We know he's about to drop his new album. He's sharing some frustrations over sample clearance issues. He's basically saying it's a completely flawed process that really exploits rappers and producers, basically taking their money and helping nobody out. He said young artists often lose out on placements because there's just no way to contact a song's originator. Quote, he says, I think it's insane that an artist can do everything they can to track down, clear, and pay for a sample and give publishing to the original creator. And if they can't be found by the best sample people there are, then a producer shouldn't suffer or lose placement.
So we want to answer the question first?
Well, yeah, so I think it's sort of, yeah, go ahead. You know, why don't we hear samples as often? I feel like we hear artists complaining more than ever that they have a really tough time clearing things.
Well, first off, samples aren't the wave of today's sound. So I think that's one of the main reasons why. I remember when Jay did the Blueprint and he said, you know, everybody mixing up soul, you know, because of how Kanye and Just Blaze did his album. After that, you've seen a lot of people's first singles, they was even produced by Kanye and Just Blaze. But question about like one of my favorite samples. We'd be here all day talking about what's our favorite.
I think we should do that one at the end.
Yeah.
When we wrap up this nice.
Well, I just say one.
Okay.
Which is like, I think it's the song's called "Selfish" by Slum Village. Remember that joint? I think Kanye did that one as well. But in terms of like Logic, the thing about sampling is that it's business that needs to be had. And I understand what Logic is saying, but it'll be a little bit different 20 years from now when the next Logic or the kid who grew up listening to you samples one of your records, and no telling on where you'll be at in life, and you want the business done correctly. Now, 20 years from now, a kid could sample your record and he could be talking about some crazy shit. You might not want that your sound sample with somebody talking about something that you don't approve of. So it's a lot of red tape to cut, but it does hold up a lot of creativity. And then when you got to play shit over, it just kind of deteriorates the record.
I mean, if we look at the frequency of sampling, I'll agree there is, or it seems to be less now than before. But, you know, I would knock the fact that sampling is still very much ingrained in what hip hop is and music is. I mean, the #1 song in the country is fucking sampled, right? Which is Old Town Road. It was sampled from some other shit that was just like sitting on YouTube, right? So like people use samples. I think like even me, when I think sampling, I still, just like Wayno said, I think about soul samples and shit like that. Yeah. That's gone. Yeah. Like that's gone. Like once you hear that, it sounds dated. But I mean, new sounds are usually originated from old sounds a lot of times. And some of our favorite artists, whether it's Kendrick,
but even things like sampling Lauryn Hill, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like old school soul. People are still doing it a lot. A Boogie sampling people.
Like Drake, he samples like what Drake did really good was when he sampled like Jodeci. He sampled Jodeci on How About Now, and he sampled Jodeci on Legend, I think too.
Shit, when he sampled TLC Fan Mail on I Get Lonely. Shit, he used a lot of samples.
Yeah.
And again, another one of the big artists who used a lot of samples. You know, like
I'm pretty sure he has stories of shit that crazy songs that never got cleared as well.
Shit, I heard in terms of other than the drama with Pusha T, that song with Michael Jackson was the hardest, obviously, the hardest for him to get clear. And that was like really the teetering point of will the song make it or not. But, you know, like people still sample a bunch of shit. You know what I mean?
Sampling is a big part of hip hop, but I remember like Prince, you know, of course, you know, Prince is a person that you can't sample. But I remember I heard a story about one time he called the label and he told the person who sampled him, tell them to use their own mind. So it's like he didn't want people using his shit. It's like, some people look at it as flattery, others look at it as disrespect, or they look at it as like, you're not creative enough, you need to get your own shit made.
So from what he's saying, in your experience as a manager, is it just a case-by-case basis? So like Nina Simone, for example, heavily sampled artist, you know what I mean? But does it depend specifically on the artist? For some people, it's just a lot easier if they have the right people in place. There's no sort of like uniform process? There's
no real uniform process. Well, one time when I was working on a State Property album, we had sampled a Dionne Warwick record, and when they first sent it to her for approval, she said no. My friend Ryan Press, his father is one of the Temptations. So his father called Dionne Warwick like, yo, this is my son's producer, I need you to do this, and she did it. So it's still a relationship thing as to how samples go. But me personally as a manager, working on an artist's album, please no samples. Now, if it's
just because you don't want to deal with the headache.
Yo, it's a fucking, I mean, like, it's ridiculous. Like, you remember a Diplomat song, What's Really Good? They sampled, like, a portion of Coming to America when King Jaffe Joe comes to New York. And the sample was, like, amazing, right? They send the shit in, and it's a movie sample. Movie samples, usually, if they clear it, they take 90% of the record or 95% of the record.
Wow.
So you really can't monetize anything off of it. But they had to they replayed it like 6 or 7 times, and by the time you got the final product, it was nothing like the original. So a lot of times, like before, if you listen to a DJ Clue or MV tape, and you hear a song and it has a certain type of sample, and then by the time it reaches the album, it doesn't sound the same. It's because they couldn't clear it,
right?
And they got to play it over. So I would like artists to not use samples sometimes, only because of the administrative headache you got to go through. But if it's a dope record, we gonna clear the shit.
So I guess that's why I'm wondering if it's an equal mix of it's not the wave to sample / it's just like really a headache. Like if it's like a 50-50. I mean, there's no like black and white answer to that, but I'm sure it's like a good mixture of it.
What he did say about like really robbing the producers or young producers of their chance replacements. Like I honestly believe if you're a producer that is sample driven, you have to still, your skill set has to evolve where you know that some of your shit won't be cleared because you're probably not creating out of what's gonna be cleared or not. And you have to anticipate that, hey, you might have to bring people in to play shit over again. You get me? Like if you lose a whole placement just because they took a sample out, like I think, I'll call you a beat maker at that point. You feel me? Like shit, that's one of the things that Kanye I feel like he kind of revolutionized the game with like interpolation, like replaying shit. Like he used to bring in orchestras and be like, all right, let's play this over again. And you're still the producer of the shit.
Yeah.
But if just because you lose a sample, you're taking out the whole process.
But
I don't know.
Another thing with sampling that gets very deep is like certain labels have musicologists that like you can, and a musicologist taught me this, right? Like a kid could produce like a whole record thinking that like he didn't use any elements, and like because you grew up if you grew up listening to Michael Jackson all day, subconsciously you might have something in you where you do some shit that you might have heard, not knowing that you sample. Like it might not be a direct sample, but then they play it and they can say, here's the key element that you use, so they can still come after you for the drink. And ultimately, if you use a sample without permission, what an up-and-coming artist doesn't know is that your whole project could get taken down.
So in that situation, the musicologist, that's such a great job, by the way, it's their job to come in and be like, you use this even if it was by accident, get it off the album?
Yo.
Or like, how far can you get before you realize that you made that mistake?
You know what's funny? That happened to that happened to YB and Almighty J. He told me about that shit, and I was shocked. He was like, basically, some people thought that his song sounded very similar to another song that was popping a couple of months before. And because the label wanted to be safe, they brought in a musicologist. They took like 2 months. They took 2 months analyzing the song. Basically, they're gonna give the label like the thumbs up, like your court proof that if y'all put this out, y'all won't be sued for like royalties later on. But that shit's crazy. So according to them, they were like, you were just influenced by this, like
you
were
can be
influenced by the
subconsciously
song
influenced, right?
being hot So you probably were in the
Did something
studio
great, yeah.
making something that kind of sound like that with that cadence, that whatever. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, just dealing with, and I can say specifically, like dealing with a label like Def Jam or anybody like at Republic, they have this one guy, his name is Ian Allen, and he goes through everybody's shit. So like, I ain't gonna front, like, when you send him shit, it's like, you really gotta hold your heart, like hoping he don't catch nothing, because one time he caught a sound, and literally the sound was like this. It sounded just like this. But the thing was is that the producer couldn't remember what kit he bought that he got that scratch from, which it comes from every kit. So we had to buy a whole new kit, show a receipt to say that we got the sound from there, because if not, the song wouldn't make our release date.
Wow.
So it's a lot of shit that goes into it, because at the end of the day, what artists don't know is that labels are Fortune 500 companies. They don't take no L's for nobody. So they're not trying to get sued. And you don't want to get sued either, but if in the event that happens, they try to do as much prevention as possible. So it's basically like having a musicologist is like insurance.
Damn, you got to start doing this way in advance, because you hear a lot of artists still complaining, like down to the wire, the album's the date is getting pushed back because of that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't realize it would take them so long to go through it, but it makes sense.
But see, the problem with artists is that like every song that they record is their next favorite song.
Right.
So it's like, okay, you might have your album done, and then you do a new song and you're like, oh, I like that sound, let me go back and fix this on these, and then you create a whole problem, but you're just trying to be creative, but that's a whole business aspect. That's why it pays to have a good like management team that stays on top of that shit, because for artists it's too much for you. That's why Logic is having this outburst, and I don't knock him at all, because he produces, he raps, and I'm pretty sure he's ran into like nightmares off of it.
I think he was capping a bit though. Like he said something, and there was an extended portion of he was explaining his thoughts on sampling, and you know he was saying, man, honestly, like, man, some of this shit, like, fuck getting paid, and I'm like, stop it.
Yeah,
I'm not believing that.
You mean for the person who originally created the song?
No, well, for him, he's like, yo, listen, like, he misses when artists used to just drop stuff like for free, where that's why the mixtape era was like really good and you got a lot of great music and really raw. You could just drop something on that piff and not worry about your label have to clear it. Because since it's not really commercially or for sale, now if you drop it on Spotify or Apple Music, like, clearly you need to get everything
You have to
clear.
do it.
But he was saying that, shit, for him, fuck the money aspect of it, like, he just want to get the music out, and I'm like,
yeah, and I'll say he's
sounds like an emotional artist.
I'll say he's bugging too, because the thing about that is, you think that piff is for free? While all you artists was giving that piff all your music for free so you could get hot and get popping, they was monetizing off the shit.
Yeah.
That's why now they cut artists checks to give them projects, and that's why Apple Music and Spotify and all of them started jumping up, because you have a site like that where they getting exclusive content, whole albums directly to them, cutting out the label, and nobody's monetizing off it because artists just want to stay creative, and that's cool. But end of the day, you got to pay your bills and people got to eat. So I hear him, but he'll see one day when he gets older and somebody sample his shit and he see how he feel about it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if technology can revolutionize this whole sample situation. You know what I mean? It's going to take a while, because like you said, a lot of it is relationship based, but maybe they can figure out some way to incentivize on both ends. But we can wrap up this. So Wayno already gave one of his picks, but yeah, he wanted to know what some of your favorite samples. If you guys have any more off the top.
I got Hovey Baby. That was a TLC sample.
Honestly, I would probably say probably something from Cam, Purple Haze. Shit, I listened to the
Reasons?
song.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Remember that?
Yeah. No, actually, even the song Purple Haze.
Oh, Purple Haze.
Like,
I got you.
like the original song, I listened to the original song and speed it up. For real.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, you know there's another one too? J Electronica Exhibit C. That one was a really dope sample. Just Blaze. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Just Blaze
He's
is
got a bunch.
Huh? Just Blaze. Like, majority of his career is known for sampling.
Yo, he flipped one for Saigon. That shit was disgusting. That shit
yeah.
nasty. That was good.
Heat Makers. They did a lot of stuff for like Dipset Anthem. You going for days.
Yeah, if
I'm
you sit
ready.
down and make like a real list.
Yeah, we'd be here all
endless.
day.
Yeah, I'm ready off that Diplomat.
I'm ready, yeah.
Album. Shit, even off of the, I think there's some great samples even off of Black Album.
But even, I mean, I go as far back as like Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, they had a lot of good samples too. Like I said, you can go on for days with sampling, but you know, one of the most sampled artists that people don't really know is James Brown. Like, if you ever watch the documentary on James Brown, it shows you like all of these different sounds. Like, it could be the smallest sound, but it's shit that James Brown did. Like, years ago that became like these sounds that people used on their records, all the early 90s, early 2000s. Still to this day, you might hear some James Brown influence.
Him and Nina, I'm always amazed.
Shit, I like it when the sample brings me back to the sample.
Yeah.
So like even you know that made up Biggie and Pac song "Running."
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Shit, best I ever had too. That was a dope one.
True.
All right. Thank you for the list. Thank you for that question. It was great timing, actually.
Yeah.
All right, looking out for this Logic album that's coming really soon. So I believe we may or may not have a nominee for On the Clock. So Kyle released his mega hit I Spy with Yachty. This was back in December 2016. So it was the lead single for his 2018 debut album, Light of Mine. That song peaked at number 4 on Billboard Hot 100. So it was his first top 5 hit. It went 4 times platinum in the US mega record for him. Then he made the freshman list. After that, he dropped his album and he had another platinum record, Playing With Me, featuring Kehlani. And then of course he had that Netflix movie last summer, The After Party. I think one of his most recent releases was back in December 2018 with Yachty again on the song Hey Julie. It's doing well, over 7 million views on YouTube. Would you guys put Kyle on the clock?
I think, see, the thing with Kyle, I think that he's consistent in terms of success, but he's not consistent in terms of music. Now, if we looking at 2016, 2017, 2018, he's had things that are notable, but we talking about music here. As far as music, yeah, I would put him on the clock only because, like, I don't really know much from him other than those, like, kind of few songs that he has. But in terms of success, he does something successful every year.
Yeah.
So musically, yeah. As business-wise, no. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it.
I'm looking at Kyle to see if maybe there's that Childish Gambino factor of with him, where like he does music, but like he does a bunch of other things because not only is he marketable, but like he has other talents. Shit, in the After Party, even though some people might say like, oh, it was a little corny, but I like that movie. You know, I was in it too.
I was just gonna say, is it just because you were in it, you got the cameo?
But still, like, I looked at that and I was like, yo, he could do much more different things, and it wouldn't surprise me the times that we're not seeing him do music or put out music or promote music or be on tour. He's probably doing more movies. But music-wise, it's been kind of quiet for him, and I like nothing from him. I like that Hey Julie song. He put out like a couple more songs before, like a couple months before. Wasn't really feeling those either. But again, here's the thing, and this is why perspective really counts too, because the perspective that I look at Kyle from when it comes to music is that I really gravitated towards him from that single, the I Spy one. Not all his music sounds like that. Sounds really all funny and happy. Like, not all his music sounds like that. So, like, when I was listening to more of his music, I was like, maybe this is more of his original style. Maybe I haven't given enough, like, a deep dive into, like, his stuff, but the shit I've heard in the last year ain't really been hitting, but I think he's talented where he could do other things or possibly bring it back. So,
well,
you're on the clock.
I don't like the Childish Gambino comparison, only because I feel like Childish Gambino is an icon. I feel like I'm serious.
Basically, like future Gambino.
But I feel like...
And I feel I think he's way more talented musically than Kyle. And his music, when he does drop music, his music lasts a bit.
Although Gambino's early music, rap fans were not there for it.
I didn't like his
rap fans were not there for it.
13, I remember. I did not like it.
It was like college
on YouTube.
frat boys I know who liked his early music.
I thought it was a Kendrick Lamar parody. I thought he was like a Kendrick Lamar parody. Because
Gambino?
Yeah, and what I mean by that is like his flow that he used seemed like he just took Kendrick's flow and added Lil Wayne, sprinkled Lil Wayne in it, and that was just that. Now, I'm talking about in terms of like his music that he's made more recently. I think he's like...
Hold on, but all right. I agree with you.
Okay.
Because you've seen that like 6 years ago. I remember him being on stage and he was like, I'm just as great. Like, he was talking shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just as great as like Kendrick and Drake. And I remember the whole internet clowning, like, how dare you You
I
get
clowned
me?
him too until I really got into his music, but I'm talking about in comparison to
Yeah,
Kyle.
but I feel like it's unfair to compare current Kyle and current Gambino, right?
Exactly,
We got to
you
compare
can't
him
do that.
with
You gotta
give
with
him
like
time
with
to grow.
like
Okay.
yeah, like around the
The
time we
same way how
dropping
we
Camp
laughed
and
at
all.
him back
Just
then.
disclaimer, like
We
there
gotta
were,
wait and
if
see.
any rap fans say like early Gambino, they knew he would be what he is
I
today. You're
didn't.
fucking
They're
lying.
I couldn't
lying.
stand him. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I could not stand that nigga because
After that nigga started performing barefoot, then he started fucking with him, man.
no, because the thing
real.
with Gambino is 2013 was a very funny time for music, where it was like, okay, the internet was taking over as far as these kids doing their shit in their house and putting their shit out, and you still had like the hardcore lyricists that cared about nothing but lyricism and didn't really want to embrace personality. So I was not fucking with Childish Gambino at all, but now like I say that he does like really great music, and I feel like singing, rapping, visuals, I don't know if I would put Kyle on that path as of yet. I don't know enough about him, but I don't know if I would put him on that path.
Having met the young man, I feel like that's.
Yo, when he met, he was not amused at all, right? Thought we
What?
were too negative here.
No. But no,
He said when I
played
met
this.
the young man.
Listen, I feel like he has that creative thing about him.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't want to be boxed. And I'm just taking general traits. I'm not saying, yo,
Right.
this is like carbon copy, like.
Yeah, just the path that you see that he could
Gambino.
be
I'm
on.
just saying that it feels like he's still searching for that, whatever that is. And you usually don't see a lot of artists who just want to go down a normal trajectory do it. And one of the people who have done it really well, which at first people were confused, you ain't like it, I was laughing with you, was Gambino. So I'm going to give him a couple more years,
Okay.
even though I'm willing to say today that he is on the clock because musically, I ain't feeling anything he's put out recently. So he should put some new shit out or put out some hot shit.
Well, shit ain't been the same since he put his arm on Ice Cube when they took that flick. You ain't see that? He put his arm on Ice Cube, and Ice Cube was like, nah, don't do no shit like that. Shit ain't been the same for him since then, but we'll see.
He'll be fine. He'll be
We'll see.
fine. Let's see.
Shit ain't been
Maybe
the
he has
same
more
since
movies
he
and stuff
vomited on a
coming.
nigga in the movie.
We'll see.
All right, so we have, since Kyle does have a couple platinum records, we had a fan question from Tay the Great. Can we consider a song a hit if it doesn't hit the charts, but it goes platinum?
Absolutely. I would say yes. Because a hit, I think a hit comes from impact. That's why you have a lot of artists who have like tons of good music, but they don't have hit records because it's all about impact. I think like certain people have impacts amongst like their core fan base, and it grows. And the thing about the charts is everybody just uses one chart. Like everybody only uses Billboard. There's rhythmic charts. There's all types of charts, radio charts. There's tons of charts. Did you see like Rolling Stone? They said that they're making a chart now to like kind of combat Billboard's chart.
Should we make a chart?
I mean, I don't know.
Everyday struggle, the struggle chart.
But I do think that like you can have hit records without them being like nationally known. You know, if it goes platinum, that means that people are definitely engaged, and you can see the true engagement, what a record means to a person by going to their show. So definitely, I say you can have a hit record without it hitting like top 5 or something, because that's
Yeah.
what people really determine what a hit is. They be like, oh, your shit could have been 50 all year, and if it wasn't top 5, then they be like, well, it didn't matter. I didn't see it all the way up there.
Sure.
Yeah, usually when people are saying a hit, it's short enough saying a Billboard hit. And then usually when people think about a Billboard hit, they're thinking about a top 40 record. And the top 40 record, to most people who are DJs, you know that's a record that you could play in front of any crowd, and the chances are favorable that they'll know what song that is, because that's what's being played all over the country or consumed. That's cool and all, but that's a hit per that chart. You can have a hit without being on the charts. Like there's mad songs that are a hit locally, regionally. I feel like a hit song is a song that either introduces you to more audience, and it depends, of course, it's very subjective. But like shit like T Grizzly, what's his first day out joint?
Yeah.
Yo,
That's a hit record.
his shit was
That's
ringing
definitely a hit
off
record,
where
yeah.
he was at for a good while before it became national.
Yeah.
That shit was a hit before it came national. You get me? Because he was touring and he was doing shows just off that song.
Right.
I think the song that gets you booked, I think that's a hit, bro. I think that's a hit. And that's a hit.
I said doesn't need to be phenomenal to be a hit. You know you.
Not gotta be phenomenal. It's just gotta get you some checks.
I feel you.
You get me? So like the Billboard hit, you get some major checks from that song. But if a song gets you in a club that you can perform and people know you for, I feel like that's your hit.
I kind of look at the hit as like, and using a basketball comparison, I kind of look at the hit as like somebody saying a jump shot. Like you see how like the general basketball fan be like, oh, such and such doesn't have a jump shot, but I'm gonna tell you. Let me get to it. Like you know how everybody equates like Steph Curry, who is like the best fucking shooter ever.
He's shooting 18%. No, you're not.
No, but we talking about that because he's a high volume shooter. But I'm talking about like how he can shoot. Like they look at that as that's the only way to have a jump shot. No, there's people that can have a jump shot but can't shoot as far distance or make difficult shots as him. So that's what I mean in the comparison to making a hit record. You can have a hit record without it being on the radio every day, or it doesn't have to be on Rap Caviar for a whole 6 months. You can definitely have a hit record.
All right. So we agreed on this one.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so we got a couple quick hits for you guys, and starting, unfortunately, with some pettiness. So I think the last time we talked about Meek Mill, he wasn't able to go watch the playoff game because the judge would not approve his travel. Now we're hearing that he missed out on a $450,000 payday. So 76ers co-owner Michael Rubin revealed on ESPN that he missed his big check for a performance in Abu Dhabi because the judge basically took her sweet time to approve a travel request. So apparently his team put in the request in early March for an April performance. They just needed approval by March 15. She took her time and apparently, reportedly, she missed the deadline intentionally, approving the request 4 days later on March 19th. Now, him missing like a playoff game just to go support is one thing, but like almost $500,000, you know what I mean? Like, he's got mouths to feed. There's people on payroll. It's like, I don't know. I don't understand what's going to get through to this judge. No matter how much media coverage she get, no matter how much people protest, nothing seems to change.
Right, because you know what the thing was? Before we knew all of this, like people used to always speculate like, damn, who on Meek team? Maybe they not telling, you know what I mean, telling the judge. Or maybe because every time we would see him catch a little infraction and he gets in trouble or it's something that he didn't get approved to go, everybody will always look at it like, oh, well, who on his team? Like, why they not letting people know? If they're going like way ahead and letting you know, and then it still gets approved, but 4 days later, I believe that there's some pettiness there. You know, I believe that there's some pettiness there. Of course, the judge is not ever gonna say that. Of course, nobody from the office is ever gonna say that, but look at the pattern. This has been a consistent pattern of bullshit that's been happening that, yeah, not only is it his money, but it's a ton of people that work for him, that they all benefit by him taking that trip. So I don't know where it goes from here, but this is pretty messed up.
Extremely petty. Extremely petty. It goes to show that maybe some of the things that were alleged by Meek, not necessarily proved, but alleged, shit, they were probably true in terms of, you know, going into like this defamation suit, or not defamation suit, like, well, the suit that Meek is, well, Meek's team basically said that the judge is biased, right? And then she's suing him, and there's some other legal stuff happening. But they were saying, and they alleged that the judge said, yo, you guys should hire like Charlie Mack, right? And that was a guy who she was like supposedly cool with it, whatever it is. He went with his management to Rock Nation, and I was reading court transcript because trust me, I've been covering this shit for way too long now. Like she was pretty much saying that, yo, listen, the reason why a lot of times, and this is way back, so I'm using like prior situations to explain this shit that just happened recently. She used to say to Meek, the reason why sometimes you're getting in trouble, you're not getting the travel approved, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, your current team, we don't work together well. Like they don't work with the court well. That old manager you had, the person you before you fired, they always did stuff right and you always got your shit good, right? And then when you see this where even Michael Rubin, who was a co-owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, says, yo, we did it like way before the deadline. Like we're making sure we're sending people to the court to make sure that you guys know that we followed all the right procedures. It shows that maybe Meek and him was right in terms of the judge wanted to have influence on Meek's career.
Maybe. I mean, it's kind of clear now. Well, I mean, the actions.
I mean, these things prove it. You get me? These things prove it because, again, if you're gonna be negligent in your duties to approve or deny a request that costs him an opportunity, and he did all the things right, it's not about his team, it's about you.
Right.
And we know you're petty. And if one of the things you were disgruntled is that he fired his old manager that you supposedly had some relationship with, and you suddenly suggested he should get back with that manager because things would go right, but it's not his manager doing it. It's just you, in the most part, at least what we've seen, just choosing whether to ignore it or not. It's the oversight, and I've been looking into what is the oversight for this judge?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. She seems untouchable.
I was gonna ask, so forgive my ignorance, but I would like to know, like, who does the judge, do judges just answer to the state? Like, who are the judge's boss? Like, is it, who does the judge answer to?
There's a higher court that Judge Janice Brinkley doesn't answer to, but they could overturn a decision.
Like
so
state Supreme Court kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently, like, she's like dotted her I's and crossed her T's, kind of, because
to make sure she's
yeah. So like she'll present evidence to be like, hey, our court ruled the same way with other people, so we're not biased. You get me? But you could tell after seeing that it's personal. Like, I mean, she knew people that grew up on Meek Mill's block. Like, it's
has no moral
it's too
compass.
much.
Yeah. She has no moral
It's too
compass.
much. You know what I mean? Like at certain point, it's a conflict of interest. They can't force her to remove herself, but she should have. She won't. You know what it is.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
It's disgusting.
like really digging her heels
Disgusting.
in, man.
Right.
Yeah, I hope he catches a break sometime soon, somehow. You know what I
Right.
mean? He has a lot of public support and the 76ers support, which is great.
Right.
So recently we talked a lot about like Offset's issue with this fan or the teen slapping the phone out of his hand. And we know that celebrities go through a lot with fans, but then sometimes mental health issues are part of the problem. So on Tuesday, TMZ reported that police responded to a call at Chris Brown's house in LA over the weekend after they were notified that there was a woman and a preteen lurking around his property and allegedly throwing a Bible over the wall. So when the cops got there, the woman explained that she traveled all the way from Texas to speak with Chris Brown because she thought he had put a curse on her son. So she apparently wanted him to remove the hex that Chris Brown had allegedly put on her son. Now, of course, sources said the woman was reportedly taken in for mental health treatment. Stuff like this is just really sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is sad. What's crazy about this is like, this is sad, but I also look at like traveling from Texas to Los Angeles is not like a short feat. Like that's a really long drive, right? That's a really long drive. There's stopping, there's getting gas, there's all types of things. I would hope that this lady is not using, because you know a lot of people try to save mental health whenever they get in trouble. I would hope that this lady is not trying to use a situation like that. But Chris Brown got to move from that place. It's like, I don't know if you could Google it or something, but it just seems like people have so much
Are there
access
all
to
the
it.
time, yeah.
Yeah, it's like before a couple years ago, you had the girl who allegedly broke into his house and took a shower or something like that. It's like, that's kind of insane for him to be that high profile of a person and people can just get right next to him. You know?
Hey, you know what? I blame certain things on social media, but it's hard kind of even diagnosing it just off. And they did the right thing, like bring her to a mental health facility, see what it really is. Because I'm not gonna lie, social media is sometimes it's not even like mental health. Social media makes people feel things like they know these artists, they know these people they're seeing through a phone or whatever.
Wouldn't that be a form of mental health though?
I mean, I guess
On some levels, it's just like to go to this extreme to make up.
I've met someone who felt they knew an artist so much that they really thought that when that artist like posted certain things, it's very non-related. Anytime they post this and have this in the caption, they're sending a message to me because they can't speak to me directly. I'm like, this person has no idea you exist.
Yeah.
And they literally believe it.
Right.
And at that point, I remember even listening to that person, I'm like, yeah, there is something mentally wrong here, but I don't even know how you even like how do you even deal with it? Like I was in a weird place because I'm like, I really want to look at this person, and I felt like I would be insensitive to say, yo, you're really tripping.
But that's the thing, it's not for us to diagnose, right? You don't know what traumas that person has had, what they've been through, unfortunately. Not that it excused putting someone else in danger. Like, thankfully, like, he wasn't hurt. Like, he's fine in the situation. But think about it. Like you said, driving all the way from Texas to get, like, a curse removed from, you know what I mean? That, like, it's not something like your average friend will just make up to.
One thing I would say, though, the family members, the father of this child, hey, if you notice that either your baby mama or your wife or whoever or is like that, you got to step in. Somebody got to step in before she does all this and gets to Chris Brown house. Because again, I know we're having sympathy for what's going on. It could be something where
it's totally different.
Where she, like, look at what happened to well, actually, that wasn't really a crazy fan. That was just.
But I mean, there are a lot of examples of people with mental health issues going unchecked and people dying over it.
Yeah,
or
somebody coulda got
or
hurt.
something happens in
You
the
get me?
school and they'd be like, oh, we thought that he had an issue, but we checked him out, decided it was fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big issue in this country, period.
It's just really hard to, like you said, it's really hard to diagnose it, to gauge it, because we aren't, that's not our field.
We're not professionals, yeah.
We're not professionals, and the thing is like, that's something that's probably kept in the household. Like, I'm pretty sure that that's not something that she had said she was going to told one of her friends she was going to do. Because the person that's your friend would be like, oh, nah, like, you bugging. Like, that's, and the word crazy. Like, the word crazy, I think in an action like this, people look at it like a funny thing. And it's actually not, because not only because Chris Brown's life be in danger, her life and her son's life could have been in danger, because she could have got up there, no telling if he had security. What if his security is quick on the trigger or something, and then somebody gets hurt?
Right.
So the thing about it is, I think that people just have to do some more self-assessing, but we're never gonna really be able to gauge what a person's thinking or what they're going through. I just know, I feel like, if you're competent and you are going through something, then you should seek help. Like, don't let anybody tell you that there's something wrong with speaking with people. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't be diagnosed, because we always excuse it with, oh man, you'll be all right. Like,
It's true. Well, thankfully no one was hurt in the situation.
Right.
Thankfully.
Right.
In lighter Chris Brown news, Akademiks, this one is for you. He had his 30th birthday party over the weekend, and
my man Breezy, man.
and I know you hate snippets, but that's besides the point. He did preview a collaboration with Drake. We knew this would happen at some point, right? It took a long time, but we finally made it. Unclear where the song is gonna go. Chris has an upcoming album called Indigo. It's supposed to come out June 21st. 30 new songs, a lot of records, a lot of big features on it. Are you excited for Breezy and Aubrey, your two favorites?
Oh, we ain't even gonna play it. We're gonna get sued.
Of course we're not gonna play it. What are you, nuts?
Listen, no, it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be fire. The Drake and Chris Brown song, I'm glad that they kind of ironed out their issues. Like, shit, I still listen to Deuces the remix, so I can't wait for them to like really do a song together. But
is there any way you could be disappointed by a Drake and Chris Brown?
Saying.
I'm just wondering, like, what could happen that would make him?
We ain't even heard shit. Like, come on.
Can you imagine he comes in here crying when it drops?
It's fire.
Like,
you ain't even hear it. How you know it's fire?
Already a classic. There we go.
See, he's the one who fucking influences
Stop
these
it.
kids.
The leaders of the light-skinned new school, man. Come on, everybody knows.
Like, we haven't heard the song, but here's the two names. Oh, phenomenal. What? Are you crazy?
Yo, Chris Brown and Drake, are you kidding? Is there even a doubt in your mind?
It would be very hard for them to make something that's not fire, but damn, dog, give it some breathing.
Fire, bro.
You want singing Drake on this, or rapping Drake, or both Drakes? Which Drake do you want?
Both.
Both, okay.
I want both of them singing and rapping.
He's gonna put on this sombrero. He's gonna live stream the shit out of this song.
That's like a joint EP album I would actually like. But listen, as far as Chris Brown's music, Chris Brown dropping 30 songs. I think that's some regular Chris Brown shit.
Yeah, I think the last one was like 45 or something.
Yeah,
right?
I
This
think
is short.
Chris Brown is like snapping these days. Like, for me though, I still think Chris Brown puts out, in terms of volume, too much, because there's a lot of shit that, and what I mean by too much, at least for me, because even though, I moonlight sometimes as being in the Team Breezy hive, there's sometimes songs that come out that he's either featured on. He does way too much features. He does features with any bum. Like, no disrespect.
Why don't you have a feature then?
Okay, I like that one. But seriously, like, I think he does so many features, and I do think that sometimes the volume of the music he puts out really lets things go under the radar, or kind of dilutes the quality of it.
Okay.
So again, while I'm excited for new Chris Brown music, because just watching his career since he's 16 is crazy, but we'll see.
I think he puts out a lot, but I also think he spends a lot. And what I mean by spends a lot, not just his personal usage, but he spends a lot making these projects. Like, I'm pretty sure he has an unlimited budget, but it does cost a lot to produce a Chris Brown product. So that might be why he puts out so many damn songs.
Like RCA. You know RCA, right?
Yeah, you know RCA, yeah.
So in not news, simply speculation, Megan Thee Stallion and Drake were hanging out in Vegas a few days ago. They posted some photos, and the internet is the internet. Now everyone's excited. They want a collaboration. They want Drake to hop on the remix of Big Ol' Freak.
They want Drake to date her.
I wasn't gonna add any of that. Add any of that.
It was so funny. It's so many people, like, as soon as this happened, you seen all the people that was like, no, get away from her. I seen a bunch, like a big series of tweets where people were just saying, like, yo, he needs to get away from her. No, don't do nothing with him. Like, don't date him. We're
Don't
gonna
date
lose
her.
you once you get with him.
She seems smart. She knows what
I don't think they
she's
doing
doing.
that. Like,
Yeah.
It's so.
But a remix would be cool though.
Yeah, a remix would be cool, and it would add a lot to what she's got going on. But it's so crazy how as soon as you see a dude and a girl just taking a picture together, then it's like all of these.
Nah, but hold on now. You seen that picture, bro?
They
like
had
that,
to know. Drake,
Bro,
Drake knows what he's doing.
I would have if they like been knew each other, but that looked like
She
some
from
like.
Houston. Drake is honorary from Houston, right?
Oh, you're right. They need a strip club anthem
Come on,
together.
like you know what I mean? Like
Bruh, I'm just saying. First,
Mob ties.
I'm completely down with Drake doing music with her. It'll probably be phenomenal. But I ain't gonna lie. When you see Drake with like a female artist, sometimes he be a little bit too cozy, man. Like he'd be like, "Damn, is this the first time y'all met?"
probably
Like he
not.
posted. I don't know, but
I don't think that was the first time he met her. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Come on, man.
Light skinned Keith Sweat. What do you expect from him?
Drake need to settle down, man. He got a kid, bro.
What? He said he has like.
keep it 100. That's what everybody want to say. It. Drake, you gotta settle down.
With who?
We don't care. Just settle the fuck down, nigga. You can't be with every new chick
And then you're
on
gonna be
the
like,
block.
your music changed.
Fine,
Go back to
never
I
mind.
want the old
No,
Drake.
Hold on, I'm one of those people. I'm not compromising with music. Drake, keep pouring, okay? Whatever you gotta do.
About to
Give
say,
me
what
the
the fuck
hot
is you,
music.
Drake's mom? Like, what is you doing? You need to settle down. We don't
Giannis
need
wants
you
a stable
out
one, I'm
here.
sorry.
All right, man. All right. Our last not news story, just more speculation. Migos teasing something, but what is it? We have no idea. So over the weekend, they were asking fans to retweet if they wanted Culture 3. A few hours later, they asked fans to vote for what project they might actually want. Is it Culture 3? Is it YRN 3? Or is it No Label 3? Then Quavo got in on the conversation saying, I don't think it's going to be none of those. But he did say, Migos, it's time, my brothers. What project would you guys want from them right now?
I'm cool with another Migos project, but I'm just tired of the culture shit. Just keep.
So
being
Culture 3 is
rehashed.
not for you?
I think Culture 1 and Culture 2 is cool. Just leave it there. I don't think it needs to be a trilogy. Some things need to be a one-off. Some have a sequel and they end at that. I don't think they need to do Culture again.
Okay.
You know, I think they've done enough with the word. I think that they've shown that they're influential with it. Go
Right,
somewhere
there's a
else.
baby named Culture now.
Yeah, they should
That
just
was
put
the
out
end
an
of the
album called
chapter.
Migos. Like, for real, like self-titled.
The real Migos.
Shit, I could wait for another Migos project for a couple. Actually, I don't think I can. You know, there's not. No, wait. No.
That fast though?
No. Listen,
What?
I really could like if they didn't release music for like 4 to 5 months or 4 to 6 months, I'd be cool. It's just that like music is dry as fuck right now. Yo, what's the song this summer other than Old Town Road? And Old Town Road, come on, man, it's a country song. Like there hasn't been even a song this summer. You can't name like that bona fide hip hop like everybody knows it, singing from pool parties to cookouts in the club.
Yo, I mean,
you
but
can't name many of those songs. Like
think
we don't
that's-
have any like contenders.
I think that's a multitude of things. I also think, like, I'm not gonna lie, yo, like Nipsey's passing was a big blow, I'd say inspirational wise. I'm pretty sure that things would be different if my nigga was still here. And I'm not just saying for him having a record, I'm just saying for the whole game. I think that like,
It sucked the air out of
yeah,
us.
it really sucked the air out of hip hop, yo, for real. And I think that plays into people releasing a joint or that type of focus being put on that joint. Now, yeah, life does go on, but that was a big blow to hip hop, and it's only been a month. So I think that, you know, that plays in a part. People ain't then excuse me, the last 6 months of 2018, we got to take off album, a Quavo album, and then we just got an Offset album. So I don't like. They haven't dropped any summer anthems yet.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
We supposed to still be appreciating those joints.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I wish there was more new current
Excuse me.
music that we'd be
Bless
rocking
you.
out to. But like in terms of when he says he don't think it might be any of those particular projects, and knowing what no label like a no label project means for the Migos, or a YRN project means for the Migos, or a Culture project, you know, like the direction that Offset went in with his album. If there was a collective way, which I don't really think that's kind of possible to really get really in depth with all three of their stories, but who knows? If it was something like that, more of a direction shift.
Yes, they can. I can tell you how they do it.
No,
too.
well, you had mentioned they
Yeah,
could
how they do
before. I said I think that would be more of a solo album type of thing. But if they could do it, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I think that they could do it. I think that, I mean, they are actual family. All three of them are family. I think if they went the route to talk about family, and you, like, every time we see a
I
picture.
was whipping up coke in a bando.
No, not that. But every time we see, like, old pictures of, like, Quavo and Takeoff together, we always amazed by like, damn, look at them when they was kids, and you could see personality on them when they was kids. Like I think that they was always destined to be artists or destined to be rappers, etc. If they went the route of telling their family story, because that's something we don't know. I mean, Offset was the one, the vulnerable one, but he's had a lot of trials and tribulations in front of the camera. I mean, before, when I first time I heard the Migos, was when I seen Bando, they had on free Offset shirts. So we've been seeing him go through his shit from the gate. But now I think if they told the story of their family and how they became, or you seeing their mothers talk about how they were when they were kids, because Offset is their uncle, right?
Takeoff is the uncle of some shit.
Takeoff is the uncle? Well,
And he's youngest.
he's the youngest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got a crazy.
I just want to hear the story about
Atlanta
the fake
shit.
chain, the fake chain and Gucci.
Oh,
Mane.
man.
But I think if they like all right, when we seen when Future dropped Future Hendrix and he dropped the Wizard documentary, and you seen everything behind how he became who he was, I think that they could get introspective and get deep if they told their family story.
Okay, wait, Rogers, one more time. Quavo is Takeoff's uncle. Quavo is Takeoff's uncle, and Offset is Quavo's cousin. It's hard to remember that. But
Yeah,
there
that's
it is.
very hard to
But
remember.
there it is.
That's very hard to remember. But they're all family.
They're all family. I like that. I like that. It would be
Yeah.
nice to get the deeper side of Migos.
Absolutely.
I think we gotta go. But last note for the R&B fans, Ari Lennox did drop her album Shea Butter Baby. That's out now. If you guys want some R&B, some chill music, go check that out.
I'm gonna check her shit out. I've been heavy, like over the past 2 months, I've been heavy on her and heavy on
Y'all been having a Khalid,
my man Anderson .Paak. I've been on Anderson .Paak.
Oh, we
heavy.
got a Khalid fan now?
Yo, Khalid.
Yeah.
Good for
Apple
you,
Music
Ak.
has forced me to be a fan. Nah,
Good for you.
No. I was avoiding this music kinda because like I'm not just like casually at the crib playing Fortnite listening to R&B. But I listened to some songs and I was like, man.
Yo, he's great.
Do you fuck with
this is a
Sanford?
jam. Yeah.
I would like a new. I
Yo,
mean,
he has one of the most angelic voices I've ever
that
heard.
nigga is fire. That like
when
he's
Drake
phenomenal. I could use phenomenal.
Yeah,
for
there
that.
you go. Phenomenal.
You feel-
I
Sampha
feel
is
like that's an
phenomenal.
underappreciated collaboration. Drake and Sampha. They're great
course.
together. They're great together.
I mean, you know, the Too Much sample is him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the original song? You should listen to it. It's good.
Too much. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
too much.
All right. R&B
gotta go.
act. The evolution continues. We gotta go.
Khalid,
But
come up here, man.
we'll see you guys here tomorrow on.
I'll find some drama to talk to you about.
Struggle.
The bullshit.
I'm sure he's good.